Hi guys, welcome to Football with Brownie. Hope you're well, keeping safe, keeping each other safe, and spreading the love in this big bad world about it. Before we go any further, please like, share, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Remember, subscription is free. If you haven't done it yet, hit that button right now. Okay, Brownie meets this week, and thank you very much, Dom, one of the guys of West Ham Fan TV and West Ham Fan TV podcast as well. Thanks for joining.
No
Dom, I'll
worries,
be
mate.
honest
Thanks
with
for having
you.
me on.
In my eyes, mate, you're a legend. I love watching you. You opinions are normally on a button, and thank you very much for joining.
You're welcome, mate. Thank you for having me on.
So, West Ham, here we go. Are you flying out tomorrow?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I'm playing, yeah.
Well, after the first game, Dom, what do you think?
We got it against us, but like we're still in the tie. We've usually turned it round in the second legs in all the knockout matches we played this tournament. But if we were at home, I'd be more confident. But then again, Frankfurt's home form's a bit ropey.
Yeah.
So and if we do what we've done in Lyon, I'm confident we can get a result.
Well, as an outsider looking in, I look at and I think, look, you ripped Leon a new one in that second leg. I'm sure you can do exactly the same to Frankfurt. But I think the first minute, the goal in the first minute, I think may have killed the bloody confidence in some West Ham fans.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was the worst possible start. The build up to this game has been talked about by so many of us, and biggest game in our recent history so far. If we get to the final, it'll be probably the biggest game in our history, in my opinion. And the stadium's rocking, anticipating. There were a lot of nerves there. And straight away you go a goal down, and it's just like, oh, fucking hell, like you can't start like that in a game as big as that. And yeah, it killed us. It did kill us. We got back into the game, which we did well to do. But Frankfurt are a good team. They were in the semi-final 3 years ago. They got fucking good support. And I've been to like every game in the Europa League this season, home and away, apart from Rapid Vienna away, where we couldn't go. And obviously, the group games is a bit of a mismatch because the group teams we played were, poor teams, and we were lucky when it came to the draw. But going on the knockouts, we've beaten Seville, who are the kings of the Europa League. We've beaten Lyon, who were back in the day one of the best teams in the world, and Frankfurt pressed us more than any of these teams did, and I think that was the problem. Like a lot of our players froze, and Frankfurt had our number. Really, they did their homework on us. It was a good away performance from them. They kept the ball well. They did what they had to do. They came away with a win, and we're on the back foot going into the second leg. But listen, if we go out and get the first goal, it's level again, and then they've got to come at us because they can sit back, and they did that well. Sorry, my battery's just dying.
Yeah, no worries.
Charger. They did that well, soaked up the pressure, and they pretty much nullified us all game.
What do you want to wait for your charger?
I've got to find it, mate. Yeah, go on, crack on, mate. Just say what you got to say, and I'll just look for the charger.
Yeah, no worries. Well, Dom, we'll get back to the game later. I just want to get a bit about you, really.
Yeah.
West Ham. Why West Ham? I mean, for me, Cardiff, it was a family thing.
Yeah.
And for many people in our generation, following our club, whether how big or how small, it's mainly a family thing. I just wonder why West Ham for you, because in your area, it's quite a number of clubs in which you could have chose.
What it was my granddad. So like when I was growing up, from like birth to like child years, I had I weren't really a fan of football. But my granddad, he was basically he was a big West Ham fan back in the day.
Okay.
Like we're going all the way back to the '60s, and he basically what it was he used to take me football training. I didn't really like football, but I was good at it. Um, and he he passed away when I was 8, and then I just like sort of just I remember like I was at school once, and we were just like you play on the school playground, and I just started playing, and I liked it, and I was like, well, I like football now, basically. So I remember my first tournament was like my first like real football memories, like when I was into football. Obviously, like
Yeah.
remember the World Cups in 2002 and all that, but like my first real tournament I got into was Euro 2004,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and then that following season, so Euro 2004, we would have just lost the playoff final to Cardiff, not yet Cardiff, in Cardiff to Crystal Palace. So I remember I was on a family holiday down, I think it was Dorset or Cornwall, and I remember like I had this. My dad bought me this Premier League magazine. It was sort of previewing the 2004 to 5 season, and I was going through the teams. I couldn't find West Ham, and I said like, well, "Why aren't we in this?" And then like my dad was like, "Oh, they're not in the Premiership." So why aren't we in the Premiership? And he was like, "Oh, they're in the league below." So I sort of learned. Oh, okay, we're in the Championship. I was like, "Is that good or bad?" Like etc. So like that was my first season following like West Ham, like 2004 to 5, and I sort of really didn't really understand like how playoffs and all that worked. But then obviously as the season went on, I grew to understand it a bit more, and then like we've obviously gone into the playoffs that season on the last day, snuck in, and we ended up winning. We ended up getting our redemption a year later and going up the Premier League. And then I was like, right, this is it now. I get how everything works. So yeah, pretty much since 2004, really.
I got you.
Granddad used to buy me like before he passed, I'd have like the old Dr. Martin's Decanio kit, and
Right. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and and that sort of like spells me on really from like West Ham, and nowadays, I go every match without fail, spend a fucking fortune, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world, mate. I'm
No.
just
No. No.
going to find my charger because it's
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
gone.
No
I don't
worries.
think it's in here. Give me
No
2 seconds.
worries.
Sorry about that. Yep,
No
bingo,
pubs.
good.
No pubs.
Right, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No pubs. Well, I say, can you remember your first game, then, Don?
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember in first games we fucking lost it. God, yeah. I didn't really get off to the best of start supporting West Ham. It was either I think it was 2008. I always get the years mixed up because it was against Bolton,
Okay.
and we used to lose to Bolton every season, no matter how shit they were doing or how good we were doing. We'd always lose to Bolton, and the reason I get the year confused because it was also we'd always lose by like pretty much the same score, um, and we lost 3-1. And I remember like I think like we could yeah it might have been under Gianfranco Zola, so I think we were actually doing quite well. We had a decent season that season. Like we were sort of like chasing like Europa League like qualification through the like Europa. Back then it was like seventh place got you into like the preliminary round of the Europa League, which was like
Yeah.
July. But we missed out to Fulham. So like we done all right, and Bolton were pretty shit. And I remember we battered them all like first half, and then they went a goal up, and then straight away it was 2-0, and we ended up losing 3-1. Because I remember we used to like this was at Upton Park. I remember we used to do like kids for a quid. Uh, we used to do kids for £1, and I said to my dad, "Oh, can we go? Like, like it's if we go, it's only going to be a pound for me."
Yeah.
She was like, he just said, "Yeah, all right." So he booked the tickets, but on the night before, but we had to go and pick them up. So like we got there quite late and we missed kickoff. Like so, I missed like my first game. I didn't even get to see the players walk out to bubbles. But yeah, I went. I just remember watching it. I loved it. Like the state, the ground was superb. The atmosphere was brilliant. I mean, the result was disappointing, but it's just great to finally watch my club that I'd supported eventually, like in the flesh. And I was like, I got a taste for it straight away. I was like, I want to go again. I want to go again. And I could, I was obviously like, I went a couple of times after, but not regularly. It was sort of like I'd only go as a bit of a treat because I was still in school. Do you know what I mean? So like, obviously,
Yeah.
my parents would have paid for it, and then I started going, and then like yeah, we got relegated in 2011, and again like I went to see us play again, and we lost to fucking Bolton by the same scoreline again, and yeah, and then I started going to a few more games, and it just like when we got relegated that season, I remember like I was doing I was in my last year at school, and it was really really just a shit time because I just lost my grand that earlier year. And I just remember, like, I left school, um, and it was sad to leave school because, I said goodbye to a lot of my friends. West Ham, life was a bit shit, but like, yeah, we started off in the Championship, and then that's when I got a season ticket, and I was 16, and yeah, that was it really. Like,
Yeah. No turning back then.
every season without fail. I went to the playoff final. One of the best matches I've been to. It was the best match watching West Ham I've been to, winning that playoff final at Wembley. That was a special day. But going up that season, it was more relief than joy because
Yeah.
we made a fucking dog's dinner out. Oh, because we beat you in the semi final.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I remember first game of the season we played Cardiff, and I was so expecting because we did good business that summer. We signed Nolan. We had Carlton Cole stayed, Rob Green stayed. We still had Scott Parker. This was a few weeks before he went to Spurs. And I remember like Kenny Miller done us in the last minute. And
Yeah. Last minute, Kenny Miller. Yeah.
I was
I
so
know.
angry. And it was a bit of a like, oh, welcome to the championship feel. But no, we got out of it eventually. And yeah, and basically since then, like, I had a break for a season because I had a new job. But yeah, since then, mate, it's just been all hands go, really.
Wow.
And
Good on you.
yeah,
Good on you.
compared to,
It's nice
and
to.
this
Nice
season,
to.
there's a lot of games that have surpassed that Blackpool game, mate. I mean, don't even come close no more. Like the trips I've had this season have been fucking superb.
Yeah. 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 I remember. Well, Cardiff got into Europe many years ago by winning the Welsh Cup.
Mm.
So it was only in the first round of the Welsh Cup we could get to, but yeah, European trips, and I used to go a lot away with Wales as well.
Yeah,
European trips is, unbeatable as a football fan, in my opinion. Unbeatable as a football fan.
yeah. It's like, I say this to a lot of people, and and we're in a position where it looks like, barring I think if we beat Norwich on Sunday, that basically wraps up seventh place because Wolves are snapping at our heels, but they keep losing. But then we
Yeah,
keep losing, so like we keep opening the door to each other. But like the thing is, we have to beat Norwich on Sunday because they have to play Norwich. But their last three games, or three of the last four, is City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. So you would expect, like, obviously City, Liverpool going for the title. Chelsea have sloped off a bit. They need the points to secure Champions League.
yeah,
So like, and Wolves haven't been great. Like, you got like, I get worried about Wolves, but they have been poor. Like, they've lost. They've lost quite a lot of games lately.
yeah,
So like, it does look like we're going to get seventh, which would be the Europa Conference League. And a few people are like saying, "Oh, like I don't really want the Conference League. It's a bit of a Mickey Mouse. Like it's new, and like it is a, you know, to be fair, we laughed at Spurs when they were in it like this season, but like we all we've known is relegation fights and mid-table finishes for the bulk of our supporting
Yeah.
years. But like, I mean, we could even win the Europa League and it'd be the Champions League, and we could finish wherever we fucking like then. But like, it's going to be hard. But like, we need something to fall back on. I think, you know, with a squad as small as ours, and getting into that Conference League would be a very good job well done.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people turn their nose up at it. But what I say to people is, you know, like we go to the same places every year. We
Yeah.
go to shitholes like Burnley. We go to we go to like Liverpool, Man City, knowing we're not going to get a result, but we still go. Old
Yeah.
Trafford game, you know. I like doing new grounds as well, and like when you go to these European games, it's like it's new places, it's new experiences. You get to see you get to experience the towns as well, new stadium, the fan culture of them countries,
Yeah.
and it's like it's like, you know, I know a couple of boys who have this flag and it says brand new, same old, brand new places with the same old faces.
Yeah.
You know, and like the new places is always good. I mean, if I have to go to fucking Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan to watch West Ham, I'll go there. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
No,
just
no, it's
part of
fair.
the fun.
I looked on your Twitter. I looked on your Twitter, and you're up to 60 of 92. Is that right?
Yes.
60. Yeah. To be honest, that's better than me. And I've been following Cardiff since what they call it now, the league. Well, it was then Division 4. You know, and I would have thought that I would have ticked off far more grounds than what I actually have. But the problem is, very much like yourself, for many years we were playing the same bloody teams, and I wasn't gaining on my collection of grounds. I was just going to the same bloody places, and yeah, I completely agree with where you're coming from. And I tell you what, you ask a Roma fan or a Leicester fan now who are in the semi-finals of the Conference League, you know, would they chose not to lose the semi final.
No, of
You
course
know?
not. It's one of them competitions, right? It's a bit like the League Cup. Like you have to play in the League Cup every year, and this is the thing. Like we get a shot at these cups every year, and like teams don't take it seriously enough, and a lot of it boils down to squad depth and all that. That's why since Swansea won it in 2013, it's been a mixture of City, United, Chelsea, and Liverpool that have won it. So the big boys are winning it, no matter how Mickey Mouse people say it is. The
Yeah,
big teams are winning it, but they can afford to rotate because they've got big squads, and a cup's a cup at the end of the day. But like I think when with these sort of tournaments, you look at the group stage, you see the teams you're playing like, and it's a bit like, oh god, like do we have to play this game? But you know, once you have a run, once you get to the quarterfinals or semi-finals, you're thinking you're now in a position where you could actually win it.
yeah,
And like Roma, one of the biggest clubs in the world, they've not won a trophy since 2008. Same like Marseille, I can't. They might have won a couple of Coupe de France's, but I don't know. I think Feyenoord have won a couple of league titles, but I think that's a Mickey Mouse league in Holland. And then who's the other one? Yeah, that's all of them, all four.
yeah.
Leicester won the FA
Leicester, yeah,
Cup in the Premier League. So Leicester, like, you know, they just keep rewriting history books season after season. I mean, they got into it by default. I mean, I remember they dropped into it at the Europa League, and Brendan Rodgers didn't even know where it was, and they probably thought, "Fucking hell, we got to play in this shit." But you know, at the end of the day, the problem is with the Conference League, it's new.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
people are a bit
I
like,
get
"Oh,
that.
it's a poor man's Europa League," but like, and it is a poor man's Europa League. But once you're like, you see the teams that are in it, it's not actually that bad.
Yeah,
Like you've obviously got the minnows like the Alash Kurts of Kazakhstan and the Lincoln Red Imps of Gibraltar, but you know Roma are in it. Marseille
yeah,
have dropped into it. Final PSV. You've got some household names in that competition, and they're places you'd love to go and experience. So like, yeah, fuck it, why not? I
And
mean,
to be honest, Tom, I lived in Marbella for 5 years, and I done a lot of work in Gibraltar. Used to go there every day for a couple of years, and I watched Lincoln Red Imps. I have watched them, and I don't know if you've been to Gibraltar, but you can't. Honestly, you would love. Football fans would love a few days in Gibraltar in the sun in the summer. You
it's
know?
pretty much an English state, isn't it? Like you got
Yeah.
like I think the police out there is like metropolitan police, isn't it? And in,
Yeah. It's quite crazy, really. But sometimes
yeah,
it is. It's strange to take on board. If I'm honest with you, sometimes.
you get a lot of it like English players who have played for the Gibraltar national team, but at the end of the day, football's football, ain't it? Like you
Yeah,
play
yeah,
you go into every match wanting to win, no matter if it's a pre-season friendly or the Champions League final. Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah. Exactly.
Like,
So
give it a few years of Conference League. I think it'll get a lot more respect because,
yeah,
like I said, mate, all I've known following West Ham is mid-tables, relegation battles, relegation. I've seen us lose an FA Cup final when I was very, very young, but I've not really had much to shout about. And I've been, during my school years, I was, surrounded by fucking plastic Man United fans, Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, and like they all give it that, they all give it large. But like, I could comfortably sit there and saying, well, were you at the game
yeah,
Saturday? I've been to your ground more the times than you have, and I don't even support your team. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So like, they all give it like, oh, West Ham a tin pot. You're going to be a relegation. I've had it all, especially Arsenal fans. Like, you know, that they've been in the wilderness for a few years, and they don't know how far they've fallen. And they come out saying, "Yeah, you're going to be battling the wrong end of the table." Like fast forward a year, yeah, Arsenal have improved, but that's as good as it gets for them. We're in the European semi-final, and we're fighting for more trophies than they are. So if we can win that Europa
That's
League,
That's
that
one
would
of the
be
questions, actually.
life.
That's one of the questions. I'm sure you got a camera in your Dom. I'm sure of it. But one of the questions is from I told a couple of people, and one of them said, "I'm an Arsenal fan." It's Bargath. I'm an Arsenal fan. He said, "Why is Dom going in for Arsenal fans all the time?"
Where do I start? Where do I start? I don't think Arsenal fans' take on football is good at all. I think the whole club, from manager, players to fans, is completely and utterly shameless. Um, that they're rude. They look down at clubs like us. They finished below us last season, and they were so bitter about it. There was no like, I mean, fuck me, like we finished above Spurs as well, and Spurs fans were like, you know what, fair play to you. It don't happen much, but you've been a lot better than us. And Arsenal were like, you'll be back in a relegation battle next season. It's just their takes on football
Yeah,
is shit. Arsenal fans, they watch football when it's Arsenal. They watch is Arsenal. Any other football they don't watch. They don't understand the game like any other supporter. They just watch Arsenal. Anything outside of Arsenal is irrelevant to them. A player, say like fucking hell. Like I remember when I saw a few. I'll just go by two examples. I remember when Leicester played Arsenal in the season Leicester won the league,
okay.
and Arsenal beat them twice. And they went to Leicester and they away and they slapped Leicester 5-2. I just remember seeing people say, "Oh, Mahrez has been absolutely brilliant all season." Yeah, he has, but he was shit today. It shows how good our left back is, and it's like, and then I think they beat Chelsea the following season, and then Kante, and then they were like, "Oh, Kante's usually good, but yeah, I don't think he's that great because like." Ozil ran rings round him. And then at the end of the season, both seasons actually, both teams won the title and Arsenal come away with fuck all. And like basically that's what I mean. It's their takes and their like their players. Like I think Arsenal in recent years, like they hound out Wenger, who is their greatest ever manager, and like somebody was like, oh, George Graham was our greatest ever manager. I'm like, all right, George Graham won about 10 trophies with Arsenal. Wenger won about 20, something like that. So Wenger's the greatest ever Arsenal manager. And they were starting campaigns they hounded him out that club.
That was disgusting, to
The
be honest.
disrespect they showed to that bloke. And when he left, it was like, oh, mercy, Arsene. We've wanted you to fuck off for ages. We've tried our best to force you out. Now that you're leaving, oh, thank you, Arsene, and all that. They get Unai Emery in, who is a fucking good manager. A
Yeah.
fucking good manager, by the way. But again, Unai Emery has won 4 Europa Leagues. He's taken Villarreal, a tiny town, like basically the Burnley. So some people say they're the Burnley of La Liga.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there watching football one time.
But like,
Jesus, what proper
he's led
shit
them.
all of
He's
these.
led them to their first ever European trophy, got them into the Champions League, and now they're in the semi-final. And
Yeah,
that's like Unai Emery doing Unai Emery things. But Arsenal fans turn around and say, oh, he's a shit manager because he failed at us. But he failed at Arsenal because the players, he got Arsenal to a final and these players let him down.
yeah,
He got hounded out because he couldn't pronounce a word correctly in English. But I love to see Arsenal fans try and speak Spanish. And the
yeah,
players turned on him and everything. Like Arsenal players like Ozil, mercenary, but they worship him. Players like Aubameyang missed training to go for a fucking haircut or get a tattoo or whatever it was. Like, they always like that. A lot of Arsenal players are all very like, look at me on social media. I played well today, but I've been shit for the previous 5 games. I'll be shit for the next 5 games. But I had one good game today, so that makes me the bollocks. That makes me untouchable. Like, they're a very, very unlikable team. And Ozil, fucking hell, and what was great about it, I remember last year when Villarreal knocked Arsenal out in the Europa semi-final and they went on to win it. Ozil tweeted in the morning of the game, "Good evening," like sort of like taking a dig at Emery.
yeah.
And then Villarreal went to knock Arsenal out and go on to win the thing. And it's just like bad apples. I think Xhaka's another one. They've got so many players that have been stripped of the captaincy. And then there was another take. They were saying, oh, Arsenal players who go to West Ham are shit. They don't work out well. Which is, strictly speaking, not wrong. I mean, we've had a few players from Arsenal that have been awful, like Lucas Perez, Freddie Ljungberg, injury prone. We had Almunia on loan as an emergency loan. Fabianski used to play for Arsenal. He didn't come directly from Arsenal, but he's been a very consistent keeper. But I think he's sort of coming to an end now. I think he's peaked. But then they said Ian Wright. Oh, Ian Wright's a West Ham reject. Like, Ian Wright's a fucking Arsenal legend. He's one of your all-time top goal scorers. But you're going by him as a West Ham reject. Like, how fucking thick and disrespectful must you be? Like, the players they got now, like, they've come back into the fold because it's a weak league. If Tottenham had Conte at the start of the season, Tottenham would have top 4 wrapped up. They're lucky, Arsenal. I don't think the manager's particularly all that. I went to the game yesterday. They're a disgrace. The fans, the manager, the players, picking fights, time wasting, the fucking goalkeeper nearly breaking our best player's leg, and then our player getting booked for it, scoring goals, like, throwing flares on the pitch. Mate, they're just insufferable. The whole fucking team from top to bottom. That Ramsdale is a fucking shit keeper. And no matter how many Arsenal fans try and tell me he ain't, right? He's been relegated 2 seasons in a row. He was the worst keeper in the league last season, and he would have been the season before if we didn't have Roberto. And he's walked into an Arsenal team because he's got an English passport and he's young, and he lives off saving a free kick he should have saved anyway. And he goes around giving it like he's a big and large, and they all say England's number 1. He's not even the second best keeper in England. He's in fact, he's the 3rd best keeper in England. I'd say, do you know what? Actually, I'd even put Ben Foster ahead of him. He's shit. He rushes out like a lost puppy, going around like, injuring players, and like he's a passion merchant basically.
Yeah.
I just think he's shameless. He's a lucky boy to get that move.
I remember Joe Hart being a bloody passion merchant.
He was a good keeper.
But it bit them on the backside in the end, especially international wise. But going back on, I tell one thing in which you mentioned a few months ago, Dom, and I've been on about it for ages as a lower league fan, and we did have Cardiff did have a couple of individual seasons in the Premier League. You definitely got the decisions against us, absolutely 100%.
Mm,
Now, you were the first person I remember on the fan TV kind of community who actually had the balls to come out and say it's corrupt. And now, since more, the ball is starting to roll, but corrupt, the corruption is actually looking us in the face, and they don't give a flying fuck, mate. In my
right.
opinion, are you still of that opinion? And
Let,
especially
let,
that Ramsdale one,
let, let,
that
let me
Rams,
let me let me just ask you a question first, right? When
yeah,
you say I'm the first person in the fan TV community to say this, right? Are you implying right? So who do you watch? Arsenal TV,
yeah. I watch them all, to be
right?
honest.
Okay.
Arsenal,
So
West Ham,
the main channels in the fan TV community is Arsenal,
yeah,
Chelsea, the United Stand, which is Man
yeah.
United, and the Red Bin TV, which is Liverpool. I don't really see a Man City one. I don't really see any others really that are as big as like the five I mentioned. But the other four, they're all supporters of these clubs that get the decisions. They're not going to fucking say it, are they? 'Cause it all
Yeah,
goes
no, no,
through.
yeah, it's a great point. That's a great point.
It all goes through. So of course, and it's not about having balls. I mean, I'm not going to get any, retrospective punishments. I'm just a supporter at the end of the day. They don't give a
Yeah,
fuck about supporters. I can say what the fuck I like as long as it's not racist or anything derogatory. But I've been calling it like it's little things you see. Like they always try and like manipulate things that end up favouring the bigger teams, and it's not necessarily decisions against certain teams. It's decisions in other games that will benefit the bigger teams. So, say for example, I think it was up until the season starts, etc., and you get to about December time where it's like the first part half the season's coming to a close. They're like, right, okay, West Ham are in fourth, can't have that. Um, Arsenal and Spurs are further down the table, no, no, can't have that. So I think when we played Burnley away, Man City played lunchtime. So we played Burnley on the Sunday. Man City played lunchtime. Chelsea and Arsenal were 3 o'clock. All three of them got penalties. Now I watched I think Chelsea had leads. They had two penalties, and they were penalties. To be fair, didn't see the Arsenal one. The Man City one was the Wolves handball, which was absolute bullshit. Never a handball. They even checked it through VAR and still gave it. We had a blatant penalty on Dawson, didn't get given, and that was the weekend where we thought, right, it started now. The referees are starting to try and add it all up now for the Premier League to get the standings they want. Right. A few days later, we played Arsenal away, and we were losing by a goal to nil. And Soufal's made a challenge in the box, won the ball clear as day, given a penalty, sent Soufal off, and it's like, and I'm saying it's not necessarily to benefit Arsenal. It's to benefit. It's just for basically fuck us up because this was around. So a lot of games have been called off because of COVID. So we were if we were pick up wins, we'd be above the standings anyway because the other teams wouldn't have been playing, but they would have that opportunity with their games in hand. The problem is at the time, our whole back line was out. Zuma was out, Bonner was out, Cresswell was out, and Johnson was out. And then we lost our other right back, so we didn't have a right back for the next game. So your back line's depleted. Let's deplete it even more with an unnecessary sending off. And they always sort of, it's sneaky. No one really sees it, but I always look and analyse it. It's like when they're short, like I mean, fucking hell, like last year was a disgrace. Like you could see it. You could see like what was unfolding in front of you. Like, I remember when we beat Leicester last season at home, and we really took a grip on the top four. And I thought, and that was the only time that season I thought, wow, we're actually going to do it, and we ended up missing out. But like, Spurs played United in the later game, and United scored a goal, which was a perfectly good goal, and it got disallowed for a foul. And I'm just like, well, hang on a minute. If Spurs win here, they're right behind us again. It's what they fucking want. Fuck Man United. Yeah, Man United were basically a Champions League wrapped up by then. You're not catching United. And then it just sort of unravelled. Like, we had a few defensive problems, and then we played Chelsea, and our backup centre back gets cleared off for clearing sent off for clearing the fucking ball. I mean, you call these referees out, you get fined for it. They're all like they all look after each other. They all look after the big boys. The referees make these corrupt decisions. Someone questions it, it gets swept under the carpet, and the person that calls them out gets a fine. And that's how they operate, really. And it will come out one day, mate. It will all come out. Time will do its thing.
No, I completely agree. Completely agree.
Mike Dean's going. John Moss is going. And there's another one that's going that's really... Martin Atkinson, he's going as well. They're all going... Lee Mason's already gone. He was another bad one. But they're all going to go to VAR. But you can see it. I mean, the thing is, right, before VAR, you could argue, and, I think the referees are fucking useless still. If they're not corrupt, then they're fucking brain dead. But, like, without VAR, they could be forgiven for making wrong decisions, no matter how like blatant it was. I mean, yeah, there's obviously there is definitely something going on, but now you have VAR, and they get a second look, and everything can be checked and forensically examined if they want it to, and they're still getting the decisions wrong. It can't be anything else, can it? It can't be human error. Yeah, it comes down to human opinion at the end of the decision, but when you've got it in front of your eyes and you can see it, anyone else can see what you're seeing, and you're still not making the correct decision, I've got no other explanation, really. I really haven't.
So on that point, going back to yesterday's game, I mean, we all seen that you mentioned yourself Ramsdale on Bowen. Okay, Bowen did jump, but the recklessness Ramsdale come out. I'm sure Bowen would have seen a corner of his eye. Look, I better get myself out of the way here because I could have a broken leg. I'm just wondering, and many people have mentioned this. Do you think the Premier League wanted an Arsenal win yesterday simply because Sky wanted to build up that North London derby in a couple of weeks to a point where they would get the financial return with sponsors and everything?
To be fair, I don't think it would make a difference because either way, if Arsenal dropped points yesterday, it would still, if they didn't win, if they did win, it still comes down to that North London derby. The fact is, though, Spurs have to play Liverpool in the running, so the Spurs are at a disadvantage. But it's about who blinks first in everything, the title race, and it's obviously going to be feisty. Like, if Liverpool beat Spurs, which they probably will, and Arsenal win their game that weekend, Arsenal are 3 points clear. So, if Spurs go and beat Arsenal, I don't know about what the goal difference is, but I'm sure Spurs have a better goal difference than Arsenal because they've scored a lot more goals lately. I'll have a look now, but whatever happens, it's either going to be 0 points or goal or 3 points separating the two teams. So whoever wins it, so Spurs, so Spurs have a 7+ goal difference on Arsenal. So Spurs win that, and they're 2 points behind. So I thought it was 3 points. So So if Arsenal win that game week and Spurs lose, Arsenal go 5 clear basically. So really, maybe if they wanted their big showdown, Arsenal dropping points would make it more interesting, considering Liverpool have got to play Spurs. But I think Sky are a massive problem. They are cancer to football. They're scum. I call them scum sports news. The Sky are the reason Sky's biased views constantly putting you know, the Sky money, which has gone to a lot of these clubs' head, and UEFA, everyone involved, all these top, you know, these football fucking companies, because Sky basically is a football company. It's a TV company, but it revolves around Sky Sports.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I don't pay for Sky. I never will, but I've got a Sky Go account through somebody else. So I'm basically leeching off Sky Sports, which satisfies me immensely, right? Sky's biased views. You say you've got Burnley v Brighton on Monday Night Football. They're just going to talk about the big six all the time. They're going to talk about everything else apart from the two teams they're playing, and then like the last 2 minutes, oh, your team's coming out now. We better we've got a game on here. Let's show that. Basically, complete irrelevance to what they're meant to be producing to the audience, and the reason, and because of that, this is why these clubs think they're untouchable. This is why they've got that entitled, it's all about us sort of mindset. I mean, I saw a few Arsenal fans say, oh, fuck West Ham. Why didn't they play a weaker team against us? They don't need to win this game. Well actually, we do. We've got to be
yeah,
professional, and we're trying to consolidate a European place. We're chasing top six. If United get a result tonight, then top six is all but over. It's going to be seventh. I said we'll finish seventh for ages, but it's not the point. You got to compete for the integrity of the sport. You can't just roll over. But
yeah,
whatever team you select, that's completely up to the manager. It's fuck all to do with Arsenal. Arsenal don't have a say in what the opposition team selects, and that's what it boils down to. It's that sort of like, it's got to be, you got to revolve all around us mindset combined with the Sky bias that they tried fucking making a Super League, and they're like,
yeah,
oh, we're the big boys here. And that's another reason I hate Arsenal, because I remember when that debacle was going on, they were all saying like, yeah, this is why we moved to the Emirates. Yeah, you know, this has saved us. We don't deserve to be down there. We're Arsenal. We should be higher. This is it. We belong there. I'm just like, you go in that fucking Super League, Arsenal will get passed around the fucking by the other teams like a spliff in a student's dorm.
yeah.
You know, and
I tell you,
they'll never win a game of football again. So like, they withdraw from it, and everyone seems to have forgotten about them. But like, you know, the Premier League were crying about it. Oh no, how dare they? But it's because of them. It's because of their bias and the fact they give them helping hands. Whether you say it or not, they are giving them helping hands, and it will all come out one day that they're giving them helping hands. There'll be a
I'm old enough to remember the old, the former Premier League chairman Richard Scudamore,
yep,
and it took a while for it to uh, actually be put out there, really. And Richard Scudamore, it was a time where Man United was struggling again to a top four, I think.
yep.
And
I know what you're
and
saying. Yeah,
Richard Scudamore clearly stated it would be bad for the Premier League brand if Man United didn't get the Champions League spot.
I know, and that's all, and that's it. That's that in a nutshell. And that's that.
And
That is what I'll say to that is that's your evidence. Do something
yeah,
with it.
yeah,
Sanction them all. You had a chance. They had a chance to sanction them all last year because with the ESL, and they bottled it. They
yeah.
fucking bowed down to them. They're like, oh, we can't fuck the brand up. If they try it again, let them go, because the league will be a better place without them. You
And
know, people will be more fairer.
Dom.
They should do what they
I,
done. Go on.
no, sorry, man. Sorry, man. Just following on from that, throughout Europe, I mentioned about when I was living in Spain. You've had like referees brought up in Germany, Italy, Spain, France, I think as well. For basically corruption.
Mm.
What are we naive enough to think that they all do it in Europe, but we the Premier League? Are football fans naive enough to believe that nonsense?
I think fans call it out, and there's a lot of people cotton onto it nowadays. But I think as a country, I think England are a lot more powerful than these other places, these other countries. I think England is the language England is the language Europeans speak when it comes to football. It matters in UEFA. Um, England brings the most money and is the most watched league in the world. England has the best teams in the world currently. They're like, oh well, because it's a domino effect. Like it affects UEFA's brand as well if these things were brought into light. Like, but someone's got to come along and grow a fucking pair and look into this. They did it with Italy in 2006. Like Juventus, the one of the greatest clubs in Italian football of all time, and they grabbed it by the balls. They sent them down to the second Italian division.
Yeah.
They didn't fuck about, and they originally sent Milan and Lazio and the like down, but they appealed it because like their roles in the scandal wasn't as effective as Juventus. But like something has to happen because at the end of the day, as a football supporter, like I went to Liverpool back in March, and Liverpool get the rub of the green all the fucking time. I don't care what you say. Liverpool always, because they're up there, because they're chasing the title, because it makes the season more interesting. They want to sort of, promote the brand. I went to that game. We lost 1-0. And some of the decisions, like I remember Ben Rama was running through on the wing, and I think it was Trent Alexander-Arnold. They were sort of like groppling for the ball, and Trent Alexander was pulling his shirt back, blatantly pulling his shirt back. Ben Rama pulls away from him, and he gives a free kick to Liverpool. Now, as a football supporter, I live in Essex, so Liverpool's a fucking long way. Like it's about 5-hour drive. You go to these matches, and that's the beauty of football is, on the day, anything can happen. You go to these matches to support your team, and you hope you can get a result, you know what I mean? But when it's being fixed like that, it just completely sucks the point out of it. And it's just like, do you know what? What's the fucking point? No matter how well we do, we're always going to get shafted by, the big bosses behind it all, from someone behind the scenes to make sure we get cut out the running. And that's what kills it. Like money and brand is more important these days than an outsider and, getting into upsetting the apple cart and making your club dream. Like Leicester City, I think Leicester winning the league, like, scared them. Leicester winning the league was a fairy tale, but it's really since Leicester won the league that all this bollocks has started. Really, it's got worse.
Yeah.
Like we got
on about
shafted by referees so many times that season. We finished 7th, I think, and I looked at the table. And it was like if the referees like overturned their incorrect calls against us, which were proven to be incorrect, we'd have finished 2nd.
Yeah.
And one outsider was bad enough. They couldn't have 2. Yeah.
On about, I remember you mentioned Marseille because earlier on, I remember Marseille. Unfortunately, I'm showing my age now. They won the Champions League, 91, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they won it, and then all of a sudden that title has been stripped of them because of match fixing. The claim is that they fixed the actual final. And Rangers played Marseille in the semi-final of that tournament, and I don't know. I think it's. I've always been of the opinion that that football is bloody rigged from top to bottom.
Mm.
Maybe it's me losing too many accumulators on a weekend, and all of a sudden the banker fucking lets me down. You think, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the backlash to that, really.
Mate, it's just rotten, mate. But like I said, it'll all come out one day. It'll start with Sir Alex. I think Sir Alex Ferguson's the greatest manager of all time. And, I respect Sir Alex because, he was one of the last old school people in football to leave, and he's been gone nearly 10 years now. But I definitely think there were a lot of decisions that went Man United's way because of his influence. And I think, give it a few years, it'll all come out, and these clubs will be fucked. Because they won't. It'll be that bad. It'll be out of the Premier League boss's hand. It'll be taken into legal proceedings, and there'll be nothing they can do. They can pay for fucking top lawyers, but when the evidence is clear as day, they won't have a leg to stand on, mate. And it will happen. It will definitely happen one day. Whether I'll be gone by then or whether, like I'll be alive, it will happen.
Okay, let's get back to happier times. Let's get back to happier times. West Ham. I mean, before the second managerial period of David Moyes, I would have thought West Ham, Cardiff, from the traditional. I mean, West Ham built on the ironworks. Cardiff built on the coal works. Kind of like I'm not on about the size of a club, but the traditions of how clubs were created, quite similar.
Working class.
Working class also as well. Both teams have moved. You guys from Upton Park or we're bowling to the new stadium, ourselves from Ninian Park to the new stadium. In my opinion, neither moves have worked. And up until very recent seasons, West Ham been a bit of a yo-yo club. Not as bad as Cardiff, but I'm just wondering, are you Premier League is kind of like 3 leagues in one these days? Again, going back to what so I'm just wondering, is this the best season in which you've had as a supporter, Dom, or going back were your previous seasons better as a supporter, not just because of results, but as a supporter?
No, this season, 100%. Last season was good. We had a better season in the league last season, which will, be confirmed at the end, I'm sure. But we couldn't go, and it felt a bit hollow.
Yeah.
It just, standing indoors watching the telly, like like I said, the beauty of football is you go. It's not just about the football. You make new friends. You see the same old faces at games. You got friends for life, and you go to games expectant. Like I said to you, like I touched on a few minutes ago. But like this season, especially after 18 months out of it, first game back, Newcastle away, longest trek of the season straight away. Like fucking hell. You go and win 4-2, and that was a magical day. And then all the European trips. I've never seen us play abroad before this season. I never had the chance to do it. But it's all just happened so quick. No one born after 1976 has seen us play in a European semi-final. So it's been a first for everyone this season.
Yeah.
And that may well come to an end on Thursday. We'll wait and see and find out. But this has been a special season. It could, we haven't been great in the league. We started the season excellently, but after we've beaten Liverpool at home, it's sort of been like we've won 8 games, and that was since November, which isn't great. But we've had the luxury of having a European distraction. So, like when you go to Seville and you beat them over 2 legs, and you go to Lyon and you slap them 3-0, and you experience nights like that, you just sort of forget it, and you just like everything you've been through the last couple of years and all the highs and lows, seeing us fucking get slapped 3-0 at Burnley with the keeper slapping it into his own goal. It all just makes it worth it. So, yeah, I mean, I was there for most games last season at the Bowling as well, and that was great, but nothing compares to this season. Nothing.
Yeah.
If we win that Europa League, mate, yeah, that nothing will ever top that unless we win the Champions League.
Yeah, God, no, brilliant. So, Seville, do you enjoy it as a city? It's a great city, in my opinion. I love the place.
It was nice, mate. Yeah, it was. It's a local city though. The language barrier is a bit tough because it's a local city. You don't really get. It's not. When you go to Spain, people are like, oh, if as a tourist you go to like Barcelona or Madrid or Valencia or places, or like holiday places like Ibiza and like that. But like you wouldn't expect to go to Seville, but Seville is lovely. Like it's a very peaceful city. The locals are very well mannered. The town was nice. The stadium was a city stadium, so it weren't like far out in the sticks. It was everything was easy to get to. The prices were good. It was nice, mate. It was nice. It was the weather. It was in March, and the weather was good as well. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice.
because it can get up to 40 plus. It's the hottest place in Spain. In the summer, it gets really, really hot.
Mm.
That city.
On the
That's
coast.
one. That's one of my bucket list. I want to see the Sevilla Betis game.
Yeah, that's the derby. Well, when we went to Seville, we got there on the Wednesday evening, and Betis were playing that night because it was like the knockouts. Obviously, they couldn't have the two teams playing on the same night, so Betis were playing on the Wednesday, and they had Frankfurt. And
Yeah,
Frankfurt, they got a bit naughty with the Frankfurt fans after the game. So we have met Frankfurt already this season, just like off the pitch. But you know, um, yeah, it was like a few boys who landed earlier. They actually went to that game. Like I think I could have made it actually. Looking back now, because like I was like, oh, we get there at kickoffs at 7:15. We get there at 6. But Seville's such a tiny airport, you can just like walk out a bit straight away. Don't have to go for any bullshit security. But
yeah,
like, mate, it was so the Sanchez Pizjuan is a lovely stadium. It's going to be a great venue for the final. Whoever's there. So
yeah.
yeah, I love Seville, mate. I mean, we lost the first leg, but we come home and it was like, yeah, what a trip this has been. It's been brilliant. And then we've been to Lyon and won that, and here we are. I'm getting ready to go to Frankfurt Wednesday, and it could be the last one. It's going to be tough, but one last
You
dance.
know what? I got confidence in you. I got confidence in you. But my bloody gambling tips this season have gone down the water.
I'll
But
tell you what, mate.
go
I'm
on.
not a betting man. I don't bet. I've never bet. I don't really know how betting works, if I'm honest, because I've never betted. I mean, people, because I know my stuff when it comes to football, and a lot of my mates do ask me, oh, "What do you think is going to happen here?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, you could maybe do that, do this," but I don't bet myself. And I said yesterday, like Everton are going to win 1-0 and Richarlison's going to score, and it happened. I'm just thinking, fucking hell, I could do with a bit of fucking extra dough right now because I'm going to
Yeah.
Frankfurt Wednesday. If we get through. I've got to pay. I'm gonna have to pay a fortune for the fucking Seville flight. Fuck off, man! United just scored. I have to pay a fucking fortune for the Seville flights, and then like the ticket and everything as well. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, I'll cross that bridge if it comes to it.
Yeah. No worries. Listen, let's we'll wrap it up. But I got one more question, Dom, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And it's from Awas. Now Awas loves his food, right? And he said he's seen one of your tweets. He said, "How good is that South African food place?" In
Oh,
which you
mate,
mentioned.
I was in a food coma yesterday, mate. You know what? Right. I went yesterday. I went with two friends that don't really go football much, but they want to come with me to see what it's like. And we sort of made a day of it. I went to this like restaurant in Stratford, had a bit of brunch. I don't really do brunch, but I had a nice little brunch. I tell you what, mate. I said we stood outside that South African kitchen before the game. And he was like proper like trying to sell us, and I was like, look, I'll just eat them. I'll see you after. So after the game, I've gone back to the drink stand next to him, and I've bought a drink, and I've seen him there, and I'm like, oh. And he's got like these like chicken wraps. He's got like these samosas, like homemade chicken wings, everything built, everything cooked by the hand, not processed. Like proper food. He's got like these chicken burgers, mate. He said, "Try the steak Gatsby," and he was like, "I was like, how much?" He was like, £10. It's like £10. Have a fucking word. He was like, "No, come on." He said it'll be the best £10 you ever spent. And when I sort of debated, I was like, "Do you know what? I am hungry." And like someone was saying, "Oh, you could go to McDonald's and get like two burgers for half the price." I was like, "Yeah, but McDonald's is fucking like processed and it's shit." Like, and I'm quite cultured. Like, I do like trying cultured foods. And I was
Yeah.
like, "I'll go on there and fuck it. Why not?" I'll tell you what, mate. It's the best £10 I've ever spent. It was unreal. It was
Uh,
unreal. It was proper culture food that you won't get anywhere else. That's the beauty of it. And I was like, "Do you know what? I'll see you at the next game. I'll buy the old fucking stock." Mm.
and on that note, Dom, I just want to thank you very much for your time. Have a great trip on Wednesday. Fingers crossed for you all.
Yeah,
And
thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Thanks
no
for having me
worries,
on.
man. And give our best wishes to all the guys at West Ham Fan TV. As a Cardiff fan, I love watching it, especially Friday Night Pint.
Yeah,
I love watching it, and long may that continue.
thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
No worries. You take care, Dom, and
You
many
too,
thanks
mate.
again.
All the best.
Take care. Bye bye.